Good morning, everyone. You made it. It's Friday morning at Ignite. You were in a 9 a.m. session. You should cheer for that. That's really amazing. I am so impressed by all of you that you were here. And that tells me that you're really interested in our topic this morning, our Unified Communications Experts Ask the Experts session. And so I'm going to let everybody introduce themselves. We've got some great folks here with you this morning, and also some presence from back in Redmond in Bellevue, one of our lead PMs as well. So what you're looking at there on the screen, this is the Microsoft Teams meeting experience. We thought, it's Friday morning, let's do a live demo. Let's just try to see how that works. And so we have Sonu joining us from back in Redmond. Wave for us, would you? Hopefully you can hear everything. Yep, she's hearing us. That's great. So let folks introduce themselves, and this is really a session for you. This is about your questions. I know you've probably been in a lot of sessions this week about Microsoft Teams and Skype for Business, and we're really here for you. So we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on any slides. We're going to jump right into your questions. So get ready. And what I will ask you to do, though, is when you have questions, come to the mics that we have in the room. So that everyone can hear and we can get it recorded. So there we go. So let's go ahead and start.
Yeah, hello, good morning. My name is Mark Longton. My team's responsible for team and channel management in the product, as well as security, privacy, and compliance.
Hi, I'm Carolyn Blanding. I'm a Senior Supportability Manager and a member of the Beta Technical Support Team, and I work with our TAP customers on all our new programs.
Hi, Martin Arenas. Part of the teams in the Skype product group, work a lot of My Advisor, practical guidance for Cloud Voice, as well as media, call quality dashboard, and those type of things.
Cool. I'm Cornel. I'm a Senior Program Manager in the Customer Experience and Deployment team, the Skype PG, and I'm working on all of the bandwidth planning, tooling around that.
Excellent. Sonu, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, my name is Sona Arora, and I work in Teams and Skype. Particularly, I'm driving the recording, broadcast, and speech scenarios.
That's excellent. And my name is Caruana Gatimo. I work in Microsoft Teams Engineering. I handle all the patterns and practices, technical guidance, and adoption for Microsoft Teams. So we are your panel today. So as you know, you've heard about the future of intelligent communication. And one thing I just wanted to repeat that I think all of us want to make sure that everyone understands is we still have our commitment to Skype for Business. Right? Skype for Business is not magically going away. That is not what's happening. We've heard a lot of those questions in the booth on the floor asking us about, well, when is that happening? Well, actually, that's not happening. What is happening, though, is that we are going to be lighting up the capabilities of Skype for Business inside of Microsoft Teams to have Microsoft Teams ultimately be that cloud client for intelligent communication and collaboration. Teams is a broad product and has a lot of capabilities, and so we really think that that's going to be great for our customers and for all of you. So I just wanted to land that again with everyone, and now we'd like to start with your questions. I know you have them because you're here at 9 in the morning on Friday. Thank you.
Skype for Business translation, or in the team meeting, a simultaneous translation between different languages. It is planned, or it's launched, or it's today we have it.
Okay, great. Sonu, I think that would be for you. Did you hear the question well? I can repeat it.
I did not hear the question well.
Okay, so I believe the question was translation. Translation features, is it there today in Teams? Do we have it? What are the plans around translation capabilities as they exist in Skype for Business?
It is currently not available in Teams. That is something that I am working on the roadmap for. This is both the transcription as well as translation in real-time calls and meetings. It is in a roadmap for Teams.
And for Skype for Business, it's available, correct?
So for Skype for Business, it is available in Skype meeting broadcast only.
That's correct. Yeah, there you go. Okay. I'm expecting this audience to ask some hard questions this morning. We can bring in more coffee if that's necessary. We can have them roll that right in. We can make sure to get it tapped. Okay.
I'm just wondering about trusted applications from Skype for Business going over into Teams, such as contact center applications and so on, and what's kind of on the roadmap for that.
Yeah, I'll take a shot at that. So first of all, the first thing we are working on is a set of APIs where we're investing in some of the extensibility. Certainly there's the bots, the tabs, the connectors, and we're also, an area we're investing in right now is the graph APIs. So if you do a search Office 365 graph APIs, you'll see it. You're going to see Teams APIs start lighting up there. And so the first area is lighting up APIs. We're looking at, Skype for Business has client-side SDKs. We're looking at some of that, but a lot of integrations we expect to be more server-side, frankly. So the probably heavier investment right now is more in the graph API, and then certainly working with partners to tie into that. One of the long poles for that, there's the APIs, but you also have to have consent. So when you call a client API, that's one thing. It's kind of in the control of the user. But when you're calling something like a graph API at the server, you have to have consent either at the tenant level, and then we're also looking at the ability to have consent at the team level. So a team owner adding an app to a team, then that would grant consent to call into the graph API associated with that team. And then we're doing that in conjunction, working with our with Azure Active Directory to make sure that we do it in a secure way.
That's great. Next question.
Good morning. Can you roll more coffee in, please?
Yes, coffee.
No, my question is, I work at a university and I can't often control what all the faculty, staff, and students are using, and they frequently use other products like Zoom for meetings and whatnot. Are we going to have any integrations with Teams so that we can have like a decked out conference room like a Skype room services that might support WebEx and Zoom and all the other things our vendors bring in and providers?
Sonu, you want to take that one? Did you hear the question?
I did hear the question.
Sure.
I just want to clarify the question. Is the question about having integration with Skype room system and other devices? Or is it also about interop with like third-party applications like WebEx and Zoom?
What I guess I'm trying to look is like a single interface that we could have set up for users that can support all of their third-party platform needs plus a supported campus solution.
Yeah, so this is going to be tough, and I think this is something Corona will have to just get more feedback on.
Sure.
What we are working on is making sure that we support devices like Rigels, and so there's going to be a plan for. We're going to be sharing the roadmap about that in October, and so that's something that's covered. Now, interrupt with the third-party applications. That's something we can make sure that we include that as part of our roadmap. Currently, I'm not aware of providing like a single interface to.
Yeah, I'll just add one more comment too. Just I feel like you can't see me sitting back there, but we are integrating with lots of third-party applications out there, and we have actually a dedicated team that's doing nothing but talking to third-party ISVs and integrations, as well as the APIs I mentioned earlier. There's things like, for example, Microsoft has Planner, which is excellent. We also have integration with Trello as a good example. And so we're very open to those things, specifically when it comes to the calling, and that's probably just a little bit further out than some of these other applications, I imagine, in terms of, and those also would be more likely that we would expose APIs, and then whether we would have, partner with ISVs to do those things. But on the calling and side and that, I think for us, any sort of third-party integrations is probably definitely further out. But we're definitely, see Teams as a platform to integrate to, other applications, whether they be Microsoft or third-party as well.
That's great, and I'm sure you probably already know about our education SKU that has a implementation of Teams that's specific for education, and so there are education features that we're focused on. That's a very important vertical market for us. So, I know that will continue to grow. Hi, next question. Oh, sorry, I didn't see you guys. I'm going to go all the way to the end, please.
Hi, thanks for being with us, Sonu. I'm from the West Coast too, so I know it's early out there. Now we're beginning to roll out like PTSN calling with our Skype client so that people can call and do like actual like landline type communications. Is that going to be integrated with Teams when it comes over, and also with like the third-party phones like the A-Link and all that stuff? Like, how's that going to be impacted?
Yeah, so I can take that. So currently, we just announced inclusion of PSTN audio conferencing in Teams meetings. We are also working on inclusion of the PSTN calling in Teams as well, and there will be more details that will be shared in October around that. But the key thing is we're taking forward the Skype Business Online calling infrastructure and bringing that onto Teams.
Thank you.
Excellent. How about here in the middle?
So two questions. First question, we always encourage our customers to try to move from the consumer Skype to Skype for Business, obviously. Is there anything on the roadmap helping them to migrate the contacts? Because a lot of them has a lot of contacts and there's a lot of work involved in doing that migration. Second question, will there be upcoming DLP support in Teams in terms of chat for like social security numbers, account numbers, stuff like that?
Okay, Sonu can take the first part and Mark will take the second.
Yes. So for migration of contacts from Skype for Business to Teams, that's definitely currently planned.
Sorry, from Skype Consumer to Skype for Business.
Not from Skype Consumer, it's from Skype for Business. So if the need is to actually take the contacts from Skype for Consumer, this is the feedback I can take, and we can share more updates in October around that.
Yeah, the only other piece I'll just add to that, back to the APIs, so that we're first obviously building the core software, making Teams work. We're from extensibility, we're adding APIs. So, for example, you can imagine an API to add a contact, and then you can imagine whether we have an integration or whether we open that up for other people to add. Because it's not just Skype Consumer. There could be Slack. There could be HipChat. Various things that you want to be able to import or migrate over. So we're definitely aware of that. Just whether we provide the full utilities or whether we provide the APIs. And then e-discovery, that's an area I cover. Today, right now, e-discovery is available for conversations, chats, and files. And then we're actually working on, so that's available today in production. It is dependent on you having Exchange online. And then we're working on e-discovery for calling in meetings, metadata about those events of who, a meeting was scheduled, who was attended, or a call occurred and who was participated. And that's a work in progress. It's under development.
Excellent. Okay, we'll come back down here.
Yeah, so the question I have is with the third-party application integrations that are already available in Teams, I know you have a large list there. What we're concerned about is where exactly is all the data that's retrieved from that information, from those applications, where exactly is that stored? Because we definitely have some countries that are saying it's got to be stored in our country. That's a lot of the limitations that we have with Skype right now, and being able to really consider going to Office 365 as sovereignty of data.
What country are you representing?
Specifically like Germany and some of the areas where we call red box states, where it's basically the data has got to stay here on premise.
Yeah, got it. All right, so there's a couple parts to that question. So today, customer data at rest resides in region based on tenant affinity. Mm-hmm. So if you're a tenant, say in Germany, your data is in European Union data centers. Specifically Amsterdam and Dublin today. That's for core Microsoft Teams, so chat data, et cetera. And then files, because we're using SharePoint, are stored, because they've been around longer, are actually stored in country for the countries that Microsoft does offer that support today. And then we are working with Microsoft Teams to be in the same, internally we refer to as Go Local, but those same countries for data, customer data at rest is in country for Microsoft Teams data. So these are countries including United Kingdom, India, Canada, Japan, Australia. And then there's more coming in the roadmap. And then as far as apps go, the apps, because the apps are developed by oftentimes third parties, we have zero control over where they choose to, adhere to these policies. So I'll take like a Trello or something like that, right, which is probably hosted, I should be careful because I'm not 100% sure, but I imagine they're probably hosted in the United States. So one of the things we did do fairly recently is offer the ability to turn apps on and off at the individual app level, because some countries have this commitment. So we're not able to make a commitment for our third-party apps that they're going to be deployed in, because they're not even hosted necessarily by us in those situations. And so what we are doing is empowering you to make the choice, so whether you want to use them or not, but then it is come down to the individual application, how mature they are in the concerns that you bring up.
All right, thank you.
Quickly, I'd also just like to point out that Mark gave 2 sessions throughout Ignite, one on the architecture of Microsoft Teams and one on this roadmap around data sovereignty and our positions. So please look him up on the site and you can check out those sessions. And the architecture overview was fantastic and answered a lot of questions for people about where is the data, what's happening with the data, how does our service work, that we would expect. So go and check that one out. All right, I'm going to come back down here to the end.
Yeah, hello. I got 2 questions. Like, we are old Exchange, we're Exchange, and we're, distribution groups, all that kind of stuff, and we're also got SharePoint, sites. Then you guys are throwing out Teams at us now. We've just got people clicking on make this a Skype meeting and not traveling, from their desktop. And we've got, so early days in Teams here, what is your suggestion of our migration plan? Like, we're planning to go online to Office 365, Exchange Online, OneDrive, all that kind of stuff, but do we do that first and then we pick up where version 2 of Teams? When, big organization, big culture shifts, as soon as you guys announced Teams on Monday, my phone lit up from home. Like, what's going on? It's called Unified Communications, and now we have another channel.
Right, that's a great.
So I'm kind of, what do you suggest our plan should be? Get online first, and then take on Teams version 2.0 when it's got everything figured out, or?
Well, actually, what we would suggest is that you do those things in parallel. So right now, if I understand you correctly, your Exchange is still on-prem, correct?
Yep.
Okay, so everything's on-prem. So what you can do is you can begin to do your planning and get some of your early adopters into Teams so you can begin to understand how it works and the real shift of culture that it's going to take. It's pretty simple to do that, and it's very helpful for like an IT team and a planning team to start working there. Then you can get your feet wet and do your technical review, your security review, everything you're going to need to do to light up Office 365. And then as you start planning your Exchange migration, that would be your next step, right? Think about that Exchange migration. And then when you get to SharePoint, which would be after that, what we did at Microsoft was we did a start fresh approach. There were many of those sites in our SharePoint implementation that we did not migrate because people provision SharePoint sites and sometimes they don't use them. It sits there. It's a great opportunity for you to clean house. And so we did a start fresh approach. And after this, we actually have a deck that lays out that migration plan. We did Exchange, and we did SharePoint, and now what we're doing is we're going directly to Teams, right? Because Teams really enables you to have great governance over the experience of collaboration and communications in the organization. So ultimately, your training investment is going to go down because from where you are today, you will teach them Teams, and they will learn all the other components versus having to teach them the new SharePoint or the new Skype or what have you. So I can go into more detail with you after this session. There's definitely some guidance, and I'd suggest anybody who has a similar question, check out successwithteams.com. That is our planning and onboarding guidance for the product, and we're going to continue to deepen that with examples just like this. But there's a lot of good guidance out there already involved in planning for that kind of move.
Yeah, okay.
Happy to help you with that, sure.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to be an early adopter of Teams here right now. So
That's totally fine. You
like
may
I-
have people in your organization who have heard about it and are interested. You can leverage that. But if you don't, that's perfectly fine as well. I do want to say, though, that this is not, I don't know that I think of Teams in terms of a 1.0 and a 2.0. That's not really how I think about it. You know, it's a fully functioning collaboration and communication tool right now today. There are additional capabilities we're going to add to the product from a Skype for Business perspective, but I'm using it right now to have this meeting. The ability for me to chat and have my files and do all of that good stuff in one place is rock solid.
Okay, final thing. So is there going to be a thing in a Exchange meeting invite to make this a team meeting?
Yes, there is. And
Okay.
actually, that's available today.
Oh, perfect.
Yes. Thank you for that question. Excellent. And right here.
Yeah, I think I actually have like 1.5 questions.
No problem.
What I think the gentleman before was actually asking about was more active compliance. So DLP in band. So if someone enters malicious data or otherwise, it's actively engaged. And I think the answer to that is actually further API support so that vendors like Actians and Verba and others can bring that to play as they have already for Skype for Business. So
Yeah,
the question
so-
I have is what's the roadmap and what's the rough timeline that's going to be released to vendors?
Yeah, so one, Office 365, for if those familiar with Exchange, does, you can't see half the audience, does have DLP, as you know. So we're actually talking to that team about what we can do with Microsoft Teams. So that's something we want to do from a roadmap, where one of the challenges in a chat app is when you send a chat from person A to person B, you expect to be there instantly. If you introduce something like DLP, that the processing can take, even if it takes a second, that's too much in terms of degrading the experience. So we're working through to see what we can do in terms of, because people, in ideal, you would intercept the message before it gets to the receiver.
Which we're doing today.
That'd be ideal. And so the question is how to do that in a very fast way versus doing it after the fact and saying you did send something inappropriate. So that's one thing we are pursuing. As far as timelines, at this moment, we're not really sharing a lot on the timeline, but it's definitely something in 2018 that we're looking at. And then as far as the APIs I mentioned earlier, there's two parts for something like you mentioned Actians, for example. There's APIs we're going to be exposing. And then there's second, because we do publish Teams information into Exchange Online, into mailboxes, that's also downloadable. Now that's where someone's doing more of the after the fact, where they're intercepting and saying, hey, here's what was sent and analyzing the data. So that's what's going on that front.
But you do think that there may be some in-band protection that they'll be able to provide at
We-
some point in the future?
Yeah, we want to. It's the challenge.
It's hard.
And
yeah.
we're working directly with the DLP team in Microsoft to see if we can offer that. Where I have to be a little bit careful is it's easier for me to come up on stage and say yes.
Yeah, yeah.
But I want to be just being candid and frank with you. We intend to introduce DLP support. How we do that is what's still in a bit of flux, whether we are truly intercepting, whether we offer things. Some people only care about DLP when the data leaves their organization, whether you want to turn it on only for things like guest access and maybe go into third-party bots versus you doing it internally. So there's some different things like that, and then the performance aspect, we need to see what we can do to not degrade the experience too much. But it's absolutely in the roadmap. I could say that
Okay.
with high degree of confidence.
I'm really glad you said that you guys just kind of dropped everything on SharePoint and moved on, because that kind of illustrates a problem we have where we have faculty and staff provision things and then they forget they provision them. And what I've done is we've had to make a SharePoint list that effectively says this person created this and this is the contact, and every year we go through and say, hey, are you still using this resource? If not, can we get rid of it? In Teams, is there going to be a great way to audit kind of what teams are being used and who kind of is the primary user, so we can consult with that person and say, can we dump this when you're done with it?
Yes, yes, there is. As a matter of fact, some of that exists in SharePoint Online today. So we call that lifecycle management. It is available in the product, and the additional reporting capabilities that are going to be coming soon are going to give you insights to that if you're an Office 365 admin. Also, we're expanding that to what we call a reporting role in the new admin experience, and so you'll be able to share that information. But we have a variety of actually scripts and some other things that are available on GitHub today that you could use to automate that process, depending on the version that you have, but really that's being built into the product. And that capability to classify the team site and then action that classification is something that I know the team is thinking about and looking at. But certainly you can do that in your SharePoint implementation today.
Okay, and it's going to be part of Teams tomorrow?
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's something that the whole audience should actually know too, is the capabilities that exist in the underlying capabilities of Teams, whether it is SharePoint, OneDrive for Business, or modern groups. All of those are exposed within the Teams experience, right? And so we're building on that to bring those things together in that one client experience, but we're not leaving anything behind when it comes to the maturity of Exchange, modern groups, SharePoint, etc.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, yeah. Okay, at the end.
I also work at a public university, and our students, when we implemented Office 365 groups, our students were a little creative in their naming, and so they would add some sort of like an underscore or something at the beginning of their names of their groups, so they would rise to the top of our global address list. We implemented a solution, or we added a prefix to every Office 365 group that got created, so they at least weren't immediately visible for every single person on campus. Is there any plan for us to do that within Teams? Because right now we've been testing it internally with our IT groups. It seems wonderful, and we want to be able to spread it out a little, expand and deploy it out a little more. But I think that little piece of governance would be beneficial for at least our university.
Yeah, it's common to other commercial businesses as well.
Mm-hmm.
So the groups team has heard you, and that's actually is under development. And I believe it's even in the process of about to be rolled out.
Cool.
For groups, and then teams will honor those policies. Thank you.
Okay.
As well. So that's, yeah, for sure. We work very closely with them on that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, here in the middle.
So I guess my biggest question is how set in stone is the roadmap for Skype for Business 2019? Because I know, no offense, but a lot of us have some concerns about the things that we've seen in the roadmap so far. I know we haven't gotten a complete picture. On the one hand, you're saying, well, we're committed to Skype for Business on-prem, and we're committed to this next version and committed to supporting it. But on the other hand, saying, well, we're deprecating, standard edition, we're deprecating the SBAs, and so it's like the previous gentleman that said, when the announcements were made Monday, their phone lit up. It's the same thing that happened with us. There's a lot of concerns, and Teams is great, but it's not quite there yet. And our organization is fairly good size, and it takes a while for us to ramp up anything. So we're probably, want to look at the Skype 2019 direction, but it'll be hard if there's a bunch of stuff missing from 2015.
Right, that makes a lot of sense. Well, first off, we hear you. We know that this is a big change and that this announcement had a direct impact on all of you. So that's another reason we wanted to have this session, and we'll keep that dialogue going. In terms of their commitment to that roadmap, it is set in stone. Otherwise, they wouldn't have announced it here. And so what we're doing in October is we're updating the roadmap for Teams and additional Skype for Business features. So you'll be able to see with more detail and transparency exactly what we're going to do. We want to help people go through this transition, and we understand that there's a planning impact. There's an investment impact for all of you. So, we're not blind to those things, and there's a lot of people working very hard to make sure that we can clearly articulate what your roadmap would look like from a capability delivery perspective inside your organization. That being said, we are encouraging people to begin to think of Teams as that go-to location for communication and collaboration. And I would want to, part of what we do through the Fast Track program is we sit down with organizations. This is a free service that we offer, and we help you do that scenario planning. Like, what are those capabilities that you're going to need? Where is the smartest place for you to get those capabilities that won't incur any technical debt on your behalf, right? And so I would encourage you to avail yourself of those services and get folks in to help you do that, because they're going to be closest to the details of the roadmap, and they also bring your concerns back to Redmond. Another thing to really point out is a lot of what you're seeing happen is based on customer feedback. They ask for a simplified cloud portfolio. They ask to bring the pieces of Office 365 together, provide a first-tier mobile experience across different sorts of operating systems. So you'd have a voice in this process. Don't think that you do not. Through user voice, through your account managers, through Fast Track people, through folks like us in these events, you can make your voice heard to make sure that we're really serving your needs. So, I definitely want to make that a clear answer that yes, we're committed. You're going to have transparency in the roadmap, and we are here to help you do that planning in a way that's going to work for your business, because you're really in charge of what you deploy or don't deploy. So we just want to make sure you have all the information you need to plan well over these next cycles.
Thank you.
The support goes for 10 years.
Right, exactly. That's an excellent point. So Mark was saying, the support goes for 10 years for this product as well, for Skype for Business. So that commitment is also something that's set in stone, and that is our corporate policy. So definitely not going to change that.
Well, we understand that. It's just
Okay.
that when our CIO and stuff looks long term and stuff, then they see the end of the road for something, then we
Right.
start evaluating other solutions. Right?
Absolutely. And that's a very normal process. I do that. I have these conversations with lots of CIOs and CFOs and CDOs, people who are trying to figure this out. And so there is what I call a happy path, but it also very much depends upon the scenarios you have in your business. And that's what the Fast Track architects and engineers are so good at, is really helping you to prioritize those scenarios and then map the technology to that. A lot of customers, sometimes we see, do it the other way around. They look at the features in a product and then start talking about features. But really, it's about those business capabilities first. That dictates your technology roadmap. And it's a different way than we've planned in IT before. I come from IT. I've had 2 different stints in corporate IT, including at Microsoft. So I'm very familiar with how to run cloud services for a company. And it's a shift of thinking from an IT perspective, to do it that different way.
Sure.
Yeah, one other comment I just want to add is part of it was we just had to come out and be transparent where we're going with everybody. And then we knew there's going to be a lot of organizations in a situation similar to your own, and hence that's the additional version of Skype for Business server as well, to try to mitigate some of that angst, and also give some organizations like that time to, because while we'd love everyone to be on the cloud today and moving forward, that's clearly where we're going and the industry's going as well. But we also recognize different organizations are at different stages, in that journey.
Sure, and it's good to see, it's good to see the long-term path, and so I guess, while we can see the path right now, I think I saw somebody say the destination looks really nice, but the road's not paved. If we wanted to do it tomorrow or next week or next month, we couldn't do it. The pieces aren't there yet. But it's good to see what the vision is.
Thank you for that feedback. We appreciate it. Thank you. Right over here.
Yeah, I'm back.
That's good. There's no question limit in this session.
Well, good. So the question is with Federation. We know that you guys announced guest access specifically for anybody that's existing in the cloud right now. What we have curiosity about is when external Federation is going to be available for any of those not in cloud. And with that, specifically with Teams, is there a way for us to really limit what they can or cannot do with the team? Specifically, like if we don't want them participating in the persistent chats. We know that private channels are coming, so we can really limit there. But is there anything we can do to keep them from doing the general conversation or the general persistent chat of the team itself?
Well, we do have those settings today. You can control what a guest can or can't do in the environment. I think we were going to continue to give more IT controls in that area, and I'll let you talk the Federation thing in just a second. And you can also do that on a team by team basis as well, right? So my question though is that really going to drive the collaboration scenario? Obviously, a lot of people ask me this question, but I always caution them and think about what does that do to the guest experience? If they're only there to see files, a lot of times people have questions about files. How are they supposed to do that? Then it forces them back to email, and then you have a fragmented productivity experience, which is exactly the thing we're trying to solve, right? So while we will give you that ability to limit whether or not people can upload files, interact with files, or chat, you know, I encourage you to think about it before you turn it off.
Well, no, and that was just some of the questions coming back from the company when the announcement was made and everything else. It's just wanting to make sure that if we grant them membership into this team, what exactly can we restrict them to or not restrict them to?
Yes, yeah, and you can restrict them to not be, and so guests in general have restrictions around some of their behavior, but by default they are able to chat, they are able to see files and receive files. You can keep it so that they cannot upload files, and there's a restriction on guest-to-guest behavior, right? So guest to first-party member of the tenant, really that first-party member of the tenant is in charge of that experience, and you do have some controls on that, and more is coming, you know, as we roll out the rest of that roadmap for access.
Okay.
There you go.
Hey, one thing, when you think about roadmap, often you hear things at events like this, and hopefully that's telling, and we try to provide as much as we can. Sometimes for competitive reasons, we have to be a little tight-lipped on certain capabilities. Certainly you can look at Skype for Business capabilities that it has that maybe you use and want, for example, Federation, which Skype for Business offers today. And so those are things we are working on. There's some gaps there that, like call recording that's Sona's doing. And it's kind of, you can kind of look through Skype for Business. It's a little bit of an open book from seeing some of those gaps that a gentleman over here alluded to that we still need to get completed to truly have, where the intention is Microsoft Teams is a superset of Skype for Business. So if you think about it to be a superset, obviously that means we have to have those capabilities. And so that's one thing you can certainly look at, and you can feel pretty confident that capability you see in Skype for Business, for the most part, is you're going to see in Teams. There's occasions where there may be some small ancillary feature that may be in a product that simply is not used by anyone based on any telemetry, and so there may be some smaller examples, but anything that's sort of more core, like the example you gave of Federation, is certainly on the roadmap. The other piece I just want to call out here, I don't know if you noticed how Caruana navigated to this in the bottom left-hand corner of Teams. We could say share an idea. Mm-hmm. This is the user voice. I'm sure some of you are familiar with this, but oh.
Right here, there you go, share an idea.
And in here, you can see these are ideas that people around the world have contributed to Microsoft Teams asking us to do capabilities, and you can vote up the things you care about as an organization. You do have limited votes of how many you can apply. But looking through here, it gives you a pretty good idea of some of the things we're doing. Now, sometimes we do features that are not listed by user voice. There may be some technology coming out of Microsoft Research, or there may be some other technology in Microsoft that we're pulling in, or just other ideas that we have that we want to bring to market. But this does give you a pretty good idea, and this is available publicly. You can spend a little time looking through it. And certainly I encourage you to vote up the things you actually care about. And then you could, if you don't see an idea that you want, you can certainly add that as well. So that's something we pay attention to very, very closely. Every program manager in our organizations, looking at this, and it's influences the things we invest in for sure. So there's just a couple things I just want to call out when you think about from a roadmap. And then there's the public roadmap as well that gets published for Office 365. There's this, and then looking at Skype for Business. Those are the three sort of triangulation, I guess, that you'll get a pretty good sense of kind of where we're going. And then there's, like I said, there are some other things we keep a little bit more tight-lipped about just for competitive reasons.
Understand. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Here at the end.
Yeah, my question is more on the current capabilities of Skype voice. We have an enterprise on hybrid organization for Skype. We have some people using voice in the cloud and some on-prem. We've got an international market who's interested in going to more of a cloud PBX model, and they worked with a partner and they recommended Cloud Connector Edition. My understanding was the Cloud Connector Edition didn't work with the hybrid organization, but I'm not sure if that's accurate, so I wanted to see if y'all could answer that.
It's a tough question. So basically the question is around coexistence of CCE with existing hybrid deployments. At this point, there's no coexistence. That's a fairly straight answer. We are looking into it. It is it's something that we have been working on. It's at least it's on the roadmap, and it's something that we are discussing on how to do that best, so we see that more as if you currently have this organization that is hybrid, that is currently hosting users online, hosting users on-prem, and providing voice services on-prem, you could go two directions, right? You could either deploy more on-prem services in those countries and then provide voice from those countries, or you could use CCE. It's something that we're looking into. I know that one of our esteemed colleagues, Nikolai, he's working very hard on this. I don't think at this point we have something to announce around that, when it's coming, how we're doing that. It is something that people have asked for, but more on the path of how can we ease that migration into a fully cloud deployment.
So for this market office in it's Thailand, they don't have the Microsoft listing of which countries have support for voice. It's not one of them. Mm-hmm. So we would need to probably deploy Skype servers locally to handle that office, correct?
So if you want to do it today or tomorrow, then yeah, you need at least one Skype server at least in that particular country to provide voice services, or you could do something with a localized PSTN gateway, use media bypass, and there are some ways to do that. Perhaps even the easiest way to do it is to talk to a SIP PSTN provider and see how they could help you out with localized breakouts there.
Okay, thank you.
Great question, thank you. Thank you for asking a hard question. We appreciate that. Go ahead.
Thank you for taking my question. I'm the exchange guy at my work, and I'm in the process, we have a hybrid setup, and we're moving mailboxes out to the cloud. And my boss is thinking, okay, once we get the mailboxes out in the cloud, we should do a hybrid for Skype for Business. Now with Teams involved, I'm thinking that maybe we don't have to do all that. We do use Skype for voice services, but I'm thinking that we can move mailboxes that have data out in the cloud, and then leave Skype for Business in the dust on-prem and just fire up Teams for people that are migrated out there. I had that question, and then also the other one was Team thick client or web client? What's the, I mean, there's a difference, but I mean, what is best?
So first, I'll answer your first question. Yes, please do that. No, but the point is, you do have to think about the scenarios you have in your organization with regard to your conference room devices. So for the kinds of collaboration and communication that we're doing right here, right? This is voice over IP meeting, voice and video, file sharing, all the great stuff, plus our third-party integrations. Teams and the desktop client is a fantastic experience. There's actually, for the most part, parity between the web client and the desktop. There are a couple of differences, but we're closing that gap on a regular basis. So So I think you need to be thinking about, do you have any scenarios in your company where you have to think about video interop or other things, advanced conference room scenarios? But if what you're trying to do is enable your workforce to do the basics of collaboration and communication, you can go directly to Teams once your mailboxes are done. But you do want to you do need to do that evaluation. And that's where we have the guidance, we have Fast Track, we have a lot of things to help you plan that journey out. But the other thing I would mention too, you mentioned the desktop and the web. Don't forget about the mobile client. The mobile client really brings the experience to life and helps you from a security compliance perspective make sure that people are chatting and accessing files in a way that's governed inside of Office 365 and has that extra security component. So do be thinking about that mobile app as well.
One other comment I want to make is we have more users on desktop than we do on web. One of the things that brings to bear, if you think it's a communication tool, right? So if let's say it's a web and you have the thing turned off because you happen to be browsing to that page, people aren't going to communicate to you, right? And so in the desktop where there's not a massive amount of features per se. At feature level, like Caruana says, near parity, but there's things like being in the tray, the notifications built in directly to the operating system, whether it's Mac or Windows. And then, the fact that it's actually on, so then you get notifications, someone can actually call you, right? Because if you don't have the app turned on, then calling's not going to work. So we do find there are some organizations, for whatever reason, need the web, but mostly people are going to the web because they happen to be on a machine, they just need access. But in day-to-day usage, we do find the desktop is where people have, I'd say, a greater success. But there are examples in some organizations, for whatever reason, they have restrictions or security of things and they want to use the browser, and that does happen. But for the most part, the desktop seems to be complemented with, I personally, because I'm walking between meetings, I'm looking at my phone. As you see around here, everyone's looking at their phone. And so being able to see your chats, being able to get calls, in the elevator or whatever, or going to the airport it really makes a big difference, and I think the most successful do to use a combination of mobile plus desktop.
So one thing that I wanted to add to the discussion around whether you need to do Skype hybrid when moving to Teams, sorry, when you're on-prem. One thing is that you probably want to consider your journey over time, and if you think that your organization can move from Skype to Teams in a relatively short path, or whether you expect a longer interop path, because the interop between Teams and Skype will be based around a split domain hybrid. So at least from an organizational standpoint, from our Skype for Business topology standpoint, you might want to enable hybrid, but you don't move any users. But you need at least configure hybrid to enable this interop between Teams and Skype and those type of things. So that might be something to consider there.
That's a great point. Carolyn, can I ask you one question too that might help him? You've been on the front lines of the support of this transition, even for our own employees, and of course in our TAP program, we have customers, some of you may be customers who are early adopters and helping us test the product. What have you seen in that scenario of moving people and the top support issues or things that people should keep in mind as they go through this transition?
Well, to Martin's point, most of the customers I've worked with have hybrid already, and that's important. I actually haven't seen a customer that didn't implement hybrid for Skype for Business. It's important for other workloads as well, not just for the Teams interop, so that's big. But I haven't, we've just started to begin the journey with a lot of our customers, and for the most part, it's been pretty smooth, the user transition.
That's good. Thank you. Thank you for that question. Hi, here at the end.
Hi, good morning. Thank you. My question is mostly centered around troubleshooting tools. So, get some feedback. But so basically, we have a on-premise Skype for Business deployment, and as you add more complex situations to that type of environment, our experience has been there's less and less troubleshooting tools available. So, for example, a solution like Nectar looks really good, and even IR. All those look really great when you just have a headset and a PC client, but when you add analog or fax or SBCs, and then specifically desk phones, those tools aren't there. So I guess my question is, if Microsoft's not going to develop a robust tool to troubleshoot their voice platform, how and when will you drive your partners to make that happen?
That's great. Well, just to start, we are driving the tool set to improve the reporting around your call quality and usage for Skype for Business and Teams. So we just recently brought on board the CQD for Teams so that you have the ability to get call analytics and usage reports around the quality of service for both workloads.
CQD, in my opinion, really is pretty kind of bare minimum. Like if I have a one-way audio issue, I'm not going to CQD to see that they had a problem and get a report on it. I need to go get the signaling and media and actually troubleshoot the problem.
So,
can you say that again, please?
right.
Right, live.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a good point. And there is work that's happening today around exactly that, to do live monitoring around the usage and to detect issues as they're occurring.
And if you saw a demo at Enterprise Connect about 1.5 years ago, then I think we're sorry we're not there yet. I think that's we know we're not there yet, right? We do have a robust set of tools when it comes to CQD, but that's more high level, building level, focusing on network issues, focusing on headset issues and things like that. We do have plans, and we're working very hard. And once again, you could see that at Enterprise Connect that we are getting closer to a very robust solution where you can see, like with call analytics, where you can see mid-call failures or mid-call analytics. That's definitely something that is getting there. And that's also something where because we see the people that are doing these, that are fixing these issues, are not necessarily the level 3 most technical people in your company. Those are the people that are the front line. They get the call, hey, my call wasn't working, help me today. Well, I don't know exactly how the SIP protocol works, but I want to know, well, I want to fix this, right? So we have tools like call analytics that go deeper and deeper that basically show you, hey, you had one-way audio, firewall was closed, and it's that firewall. And that's the kind of reports that we want to generate. We have partners working on that, and we ourselves are working on things like that, as you could see with our core analytics demos.
I should also add that our partners in Microsoft IT, which is now referred to as Core Service Engineering, have also been building those tools and releasing them on GitHub. And more importantly, they're taking their enterprise-grade requirements and giving it to the product group teams to really get that real-world experience. And so there's some movement and traction on releasing those capabilities that they've had to build themselves.
Sure. Yeah, and I do appreciate you guys that it's on the roadmap. Just what I've kind of seen is some of the basic troubleshooting things or even admin capabilities that you guys should be focusing on, you guys kind of leave that in the dark to get the product out there immediately.
Right.
And then that leaves us with difficulty troubleshooting. For example, Polycom VVX phones were out for I don't know how long and didn't even report RTCP-XR data.
Right.
So there were no call analytics. And in my site, why would you ever even have them on a compatible Skype for Business list if they don't provide that bare minimum of analytics and things to troubleshoot your product?
We hear you, and that's excellent feedback. And I would also ask that put that sort of stuff into our user voice. I mean, your voice really does matter as we prioritize it. It's not falling on deaf ears, but every customer who helps land that message is a good thing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Down at the end.
Hi, good morning.
Hi.
Well, my apologies if I missed this sometime during the week leading up to this point, but I'm trying to understand Teams from a licensing perspective. And in particular, I'm in an organization that is currently still almost exclusively on-prem. We're migrating to mostly, but not exclusively, in the cloud. And the reason we're staying partly on-prem is because we have a lot of our employees who spend at least part of their day in a classified environment in one of a handful of countries, each of which has its own classification requirements, yada, yada, yada. So that's the complexity I'm dealing with. So I'm coming from a familiarity with the old Skype, 3-level CALs, and I'm trying to understand where we're going in the future. Do I need to wait for the October announcement, or is there something I can learn in the meantime? So.
Absolutely. So may I ask, what industry are you in?
Aerospace and defense.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So The simple answer is that Teams is included in cloud licensing for E1 and better. There's no additional cost for Teams for the basic client capability. Enterprise voice scenarios, the cloud voice scenarios do particularly have, there's a separate SKU for that, basically. And, you know, I'm just going to acknowledge the fact that, you know, if you think technical implementation of our products is difficult, like, take a look at our licensing model is really hard. But so it's nice to have for once a simple answer in the licensing area. It's just included in Office 365. So that's a good thing. But it sounded like you had more complex, excuse me?
E1 and higher.
Yes. It sounded like you also had maybe some other complex questions about the hybrid components of it. It's not like there's an extra charge. If you're already paying and you've paid for your Cal, if you have an EA that has covered your on-prem services, you'll be purchasing Office 365 services, and Teams will be included in that. Okay? All right, great. No, and you didn't miss it. I don't think we talked about that. We don't want to hurt everyone's mind with the licensing review.
But yeah, it's consistent with the licensing you see today for us to drive. So things like PSTN, it is a higher one of the more premium SKUs. There are some caveats, but it's absolutely consistent with what's out there today.
Okay, so when you said E1 and higher, is that the starter set for Teams?
No,
and then you have
it's
others,
pretty
or-
full-fledged.
okay.
I think the key thing is really the PSTN is the support.
That's going to be
Is the key,
additional, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty full-featured. There's not like other limitations that we've put in for different SKUs.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, excellent. Hi, in the middle.
Hi there. I work for a Canadian company, and we have offices all over. And we set up our tenant a long time ago, and we're hybridized. And we're looking at porting phone numbers. Now, I heard that with a Canadian tenant, you cannot port American numbers. Is that true?
That's news to me. No, you should be. So when you're porting numbers, and I am gonna, not a licensing guy, so don't hate me for that. So it might require to set up different billing addresses because of local regulations, telephony regulations, things like that. But the physical location of your tenant shouldn't matter when you're getting PSTN calling licenses.
Okay, and to build further on that, with a Canadian tenant, is our data held in Canada?
So today with Microsoft Teams, things like files, that's true, but your chat data today is not. That is a roadmap item we're looking in going into next calendar year to support, though.
And will that
Canada is what? I don't have a specific quarter, anything more accurate than that to pass on.
Will that upset Donald Trump?
Probably.
No, we don't care. But yeah, so yeah, data residency is an area that we are investing. Certainly, you're going to see that over the course of this next year. Actually, United Kingdom support is going to happen. Not that it matters to you, but it's going to happen in this upcoming quarter. And then we're going to be rolling out throughout the year the various countries.
Okay. Last question. We're looking forward to moving offices to the cloud completely with enterprise voice in the works. However, enterprise voice numbers, PSTN numbers, are not available in Canada yet. Canada's like the American attic. You know what's there, but you don't know what's upstairs. So is there any word as to when that's coming?
So, this I've been told by my my favorite gentleman, Mr. Bill Wertheim. Apparently, it's easier to sell weapons than this PSTN calling in countries. So and then due to legal reasons, we can't talk about when countries are going to be enabled. So the only advice I can give you is check out skypepreview.com. Yeah. We will announce very publicly, because we're very glad once we do so, when new countries are going to be added to that list. And basically the process for adding new numbers in a specific country is we'll announce it on Skype Preview. In a month or two, numbers are available in those particular countries. And then after a month or 2 or 3, it's in full availability in those specific countries. So I don't have a date for you. We really love to get numbers in Canada. And as soon as we know when it's getting there, skypepreview.com. Or on the Success with Teams websites, we'll probably announce it there once we go into the whole PSTN calling with Teams spiel.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Hi, at the end.
Hi, yeah, I have a handful of questions, but hopefully be quick. This first one's really quick. You mentioned Skype's around for 10 years. Can you extend that another 5 so I can make it to retirement?
That's great. We'll bring that up to our CVP. That's great.
The first real question is around, we have a SIP trunk terminating at our gateway, and right now, calls routed there between our legacy Avaya and our Skype servers. Is there any plans to work with the gateways so that a SIP trunk or a SIP call can go straight out to Teams and not use my on-prem Skype?
Sonu, could you hear that one?
It's probably a little bit best answered by somebody who a hybrid.
Got it.
I mean, we can, I mean, I think that to Cornelius' point earlier, that is a thing, you know, similar to the question around CCE for support in a Skype for Business hybrid environment, that is kind of the same area, and we recognize that this is a quite important feature that we need to deliver. And I guess it's fair to say that we're working on a solution, but we're not quite ready to announce what the solution is and when it will be ready. But it is understood, and we are working on a solution for that particular scenario.
Okay, and the next question is, what's your E911 story?
It's great.
I'm sorry, will you say that again?
What is your E911 story?
Ah, okay. Yep. Sonu?
Hey, so for Skype, for Teams, we are going to be supporting E911. So as part of just bringing the Skype for Business online voice capabilities, that's actually paramount that we do support that. So it's definitely in our roadmap.
Thank you.
Okay. At the end, sir.
Yeah, hi. This is a follow-up question to the earlier one. I was intrigued by the
Could you get just a little closer to the mic, please? Thank you.
Sorry. I was intrigued by the idea that was brought up earlier when the gent said we're soon going to be migrating on-prem Skype to cloud Skype. And it occurred to me, why would I do that if I can just go straight to Teams? I'm wondering about the migration process. When you migrate an on-prem user to cloud, there's a process that kicks off, I forget the name of it, but it's the one that goes out and modifies all the URLs in your current meetings on your calendar to point to the cloud instead of on-prem. Is there a similar process if you migrate from Skype for Business to Teams?
Right. Sonu, could you hear that one?
Yeah, I did hear that one. So are you specifically referring to meetings migrations only?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is something we are looking at. If there is some additional feedback you have, feel free to post in user voice. So this we will be sharing more details around meetings migrations all up, in our coming announcements.
Okay. I will say that what I've seen so far, the migration process looks great. It's nice to see there was some thought put into making it easier for the user to migrate. There's one piece I didn't hear about. I have a second question, though, and I'm going to try real hard not to mention a competitor's name, so cut me some slack.
It's okay. It's not like we don't know them.
We have a lot of interest in our organization in Slack, and we're under a lot of pressure to give them something now. And meanwhile, we have all this baggage with mailboxes on-prem that we have to migrate. We're looking at about 6 months before we're even going to be able to offer people Teams at a minimum, just the way things work in our organization. Is there anything you can recommend to people in our position, a way to get them to Teams faster without having to wait for all that?
Yeah, so I mean, if you're on-prem,
yeah,
so you can, if you do a Azure Active Directory dir sync to the cloud, so you're basically bringing the identity out to the cloud, that's the primary prerequisite to use Teams. So you can, if you do that, you can start using Teams with, we have plenty of customers who have Exchange on premises today. They're using Teams, and it's fairly easy to do. Once you do, you're basically turning it on. There's not, migration, and then effectively, if your goal is to try to offer, I know, you're not necessarily trying to deploy enterprise-wide, but maybe there's departments or in the IT department or whatever that's where they might be wanting to use something like Slack. You can certainly do that with Teams if you want to, and we have people do that all the time. So that's one thing. I think when I think of Slack, nothing wrong with Slack as a product. I think the things that when people are attracted to Teams, I think things that pop to me is the licensing is obviously very attractive. People, all the security compliance, discovery stuff that you get that you don't get with Slack, that's a big deal. The Office integration, and then of course the voice are sort of the big things that really pop when people are kind of looking at why they'd want to do that, use Teams versus, for example, Slack. I think if you go in some of the chat, we can tell you we have things that are better in chat. They can tell you they have some things better in chat. We go back and forth a bit on some of these features, but we're constantly, everyone's racing to add more value. But those are the big things. But yeah, there's absolutely no reason you couldn't lead with Teams, and we have some very, very large organizations who are actually doing that in the same situation, because whether they've got, I don't know, various integrations or whatever reason that they're not able to migrate the whole stack to the cloud right away, and so some of them are leading with Teams with that.
Aren't there dependencies that we would have to worry about to make all the features work in Teams? We have
So
to be
the
partially
one thing that
hybrid?
wouldn't work specifically would be your calendar, because you wouldn't point to your Exchange because it's on-prem, as well as the Exchange connectors. Those are the two big features. But yeah, I mean, chats fully work, your voice or IP calls fully works, you're adding files it would actually point to create SharePoint Online clouds, but yeah, it would fully work. And we have, like I said, some fairly large, very large organizations who are in that situation and in their journey to the cloud, and they've chosen to lead with Teams. But I'm not saying that's the right for every organization, but that's certainly happens and certainly doable. So the one thing you could do is even do a pilot where you did a DirSync with, take 50 people or 100 people in your organization, try it out with those folks, and then decide. That's one thing we definitely encourage is doing sort of a pilot, check it out, see what works or it doesn't work, evaluate yourself, and then decide whether you want to go broader organization.
Great food for thought, thanks.
So, and the one thing, so that's the one thing, your question around meetings, so that's one thing when Caruana introduced, like how we're positioning around Teams, and I think the thing that we kept trying to convey during the entire Ignite, and that we keep conveying from here on, is that we want to make sure that our existing Skype for Business customers are happy, right? If you're on Skype for Business, great, go check out Teams. And when you go on that journey towards Teams, we'll make sure that journey is painless for you, and that you will get a happy experience when you're ready to move to Teams. And part of that experience would be to make sure that the amount of effort you'd have to do would be minimal. And we build tools like Success with Teams, My Advisor, Network Planners, to make sure that that effort is minimal. So when you go on, you'll have more questions like that, like how do I migrate my meetings? How do I migrate my contact list? Things like that. We'll have more to share on that upgrade story, but one of the promises that we are making at Ignite and that we've made in our announcements is that that journey will be as painless as possible. And if you have feedback on that, keep sharing it through user voice, and we'll make sure that you'll get there painlessly.
Yeah, great. Excellent. Okay, I'm going to come right here.
All right. So I have several questions as well, and one of them is, if you're moving from Skype, today that's our web conferencing tool, and if I create a Teams meeting, well, people can be a guest, but that means they create an account. I don't want that. I want them to just, like Skype, just join in. Right? They can just join as a guest, and they show up as themselves, and they don't have to sign up for anything. Is that coming to Teams at some point, or you just expect Teams to kind of be a team meeting and team structure, and that's kind of the way it's going to be, and you have to use Skype for conferencing?
Sonia?
Yeah, great question. And yes, it is coming. So just like Skype today, anybody could just join through the Skype web app. The same sort of very frictionless experience will be providing that for what we are referring to as anonymous users. So that's different from the guest users.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you have a time frame for that, or is that kind of out there?
I cannot share the time frame, but again, you'll know more in October as well.
But it's under development.
Okay.
It's real. It's
definitely
not
Yeah.
something that's just future.
It's actually happening, yes.
Linux client. Are you looking at a Linux client for Teams?
Yeah, it's come up. It's actually, even at this conference, we've had a few folks. It is something we're evaluating. We're not able to come out with any sort of timeline, or whether we're listening for feedback at the moment and deciding how much demand we think there
Well,
is.
it's going to be a blocker from going from Slack. I'll just be honest. Nobody's going to go. We have a lot of developers in Linux, and they want the notification simple, desktop
Sure.
app. If you're not going to have it, they're not going to move. You're going to need it.
Yeah. So there's, like I said, we're sort of listening. We kind of get various feedback. It tends to be very small pockets in the bigger scope of the world, as far as using it as a client. And so it's something we're listening, we're evaluating, but we just don't have any time frame that we can share at this point in time.
I don't know if I should keep going, but I have two more.
Of course, it's available on the web, of course, but for desktop, I'm talking specifically.
I think because we're at 5 minutes, so I encourage you to stay afterwards. I want to get one more from this other line here, and then please do stay. We're happy to stay after the actual session completes and answer more questions, absolutely. So yeah, let me get just a couple more. Here, right here.
Yeah, thank you. We're using Skype hybrids, and we're now using Skype in a contact center context. I'm just wondering, would migrating to Teams of using Teams be a good strategy? Because it's a whole different setup using Teams, I think, in a call center setup. I'm just wondering, what is your vision, what is your strategy on that?
So there's a couple of different pieces of that. So it depends upon how those calls are being answered, if you have a round robin or a hunt group, or depending on that
It's a very complex routing, so.
Yes, okay, so.
So yeah, I'm just going to steal the question. We have a very, very diverse and active partner community when it comes to developing call center solutions that fully integrate with Teams. With Teams, Skype for Business. I'm sorry, I just moved over. When it comes to Skype for Business and the functionality you see in Skype for Business, as we discussed on Monday, we're really looking to integrate all those Skype for Business features into Teams. So I would definitely expect to see more Skype for Business like call queues and things like that in Teams in due time. You're talking about real advanced call center features, Actions and the likes. They're currently very strong for Skype for Business, and I see no reason why they wouldn't be able to develop the same kinds of things with minimal changes for Teams as well. And we will be looking at our partners for real deep call center applications.
Okay, thank you. Just one small remark. Why does it say the Skype for Business sign above in the Teams display?
I'm sorry, where?
I asked the experts up front, there's a Skype for Business sign.
Probably, that's good. Probably because I'm on an internal dog food version of the product, and so that's probably why that's there. It's okay. It's all coming together, though. Okay.
It's a nice spot, though.
It is, right? Exactly. I have both buttons on. There's a reason for that, right? Okay, go ahead.
Teams was. Are you referring to the Skype logo?
Yeah, it's up here at the top on your video.
Oh, right. Yeah. So actually, this is by design. We are saying that we're bringing the Skype for Business calling and capabilities in Teams. So that's by design. Currently, we have the Skype for Business logo. It's going to be in your calling and meeting screen.
Thank you.
It's powered by Skype.
Powered by Skype.
You're right, exactly. Okay,
Yeah,
go
powered
ahead.
by Skype. Yep.
Okay,
Thank you,
for
Sorry.
my second question. My boss is very excited about Teams. We are in the government tenant. Can I give an ETA of when this might be possible for us?
There's multiple government tenants. What specifically?
We just have one.
No, sorry, but there's DoD, there's Government Community Cloud, there's a few different Government Community Cloud High.
We're federal.
Federal?
Yeah.
That's probably just Government Community Cloud. There's Government Community Cloud, which is like your states and federal, et cetera. There's DoD, and there's Government Community Cloud High, which is basically organizations like, say, Department of Energy or whatnot that they want DoD
that's us
capabilities, but
we're DOE.
Okay.
Yeah.
So all right. So all I can say right now is 2018 is you're going to start seeing us roll out. We're preparing for FedRAMP right now, which is a prerequisite for that, and then of course being deployed into the various environments. And so all I could say right now is in next year we will be coming out with more specific dates, but I'll get myself in trouble if I say much more at this point. But I could tell you it's taken very, very seriously. not to mention an announcement, it puts a lot of pressure from this conference, and then as well as our leadership, literally all the way up to Satya, is coming down on us hard that, on dates, and that's a very high priority for us.
Thank you.
Excellent. So I want to show a couple things. We're gonna have to wrap here because we have just like literally a minute left. A couple of things I want to make sure everybody gets. First off, I want to actually switch back here to Teams, and I want to thank Sonu for getting up early from Seattle, Washington to join us. Thank you so much for doing that. Love our live demo of the Teams meeting experience. And I also want to draw your attention to Success with Teams. This is our main site for all of our documentation along the journey of planning and onboarding and managing teams, also our adoption guidance. And down here in the lower left-hand corner, right-hand corner, you'll see Journey from Skype for Business to Teams. And that's dedicated information for those of you who have Skype for Business implementations and are thinking about how to manage this journey. So this was launched in 5 languages here at Ignite. It's evolution of the guidance that we had at general availability. And we're going to continue to put out here industry-specific guidance and more guidance as we obviously update the roadmap in October. So please mark this, successwithteams.com. And you can always also get long-form interviews from our various product managers on this show called Coffee in the Cloud. There's a video out here about guest access. There's a video out here about e-discovery and governance, and also a Better Together story that really shows all of the components of Office 365 coming together through Teams. So if you'd like to deep dive in that, we'll continue to put out new topics that you all are asking for. So please visit that on YouTube. It's aka.ms Coffee in the Cloud, and we hope you enjoy that. So thank you very much for coming out on the last day of Ignite at 9 a.m. in the morning and asking such great questions. We're happy to stay after and answer some more. We really appreciate your attendance, and have a great rest of the day. Safe travels wherever you call home. Thank you.
Thank you.